Stormy Encounters, Part 2. Jasmine stepped into Kevin's apartment, her eyes widening with surprise. The space was gorgeous, sleek and modern, yet warm and inviting. She had always seen Kevin rushing in and out of the building in casual jogging suits, never once imagining he lived in a place like this. Guess you really can't judge a book by its cover, she thought, a little amused. The room was dimly lit, illuminated only by the soft glow of candles scattered across the coffee table and shelves. The power hadn't come back yet, leaving the apartment wrapped in shadows. A large window offered a view of the storm still raging outside, with rain hammering down and occasional flashes of lightning brightening the sky. As she stepped further in, she heard the soft strains of music playing from a tablet on the coffee table. A mellow jazz tune that fit the stormy night perfectly. Kevin turned toward her with a smile. "Please, have a seat," he said, gesturing toward the large leather couch. "Can I get you something to drink? Water? Wine? I would offer coffee, but no electricity." They both chuckled, the sound easing the tension that had settled between them. "Water's fine," Jasmine replied, sinking into the couch. The leather was smooth, cool against her skin, and the room smelled faintly of sandalwood and something else. Something uniquely Kevin. He disappeared into the kitchen, the soft sound of the fridge opening as he grabbed a bottle of water. Despite the storm and the power outage, it was still cold when he handed it to her. Sitting down beside her, close, but not too close. "Thanks," she said, taking a sip, the cold water soothing in the warm room. Kevin leaned back, his posture relaxed, but his eyes sharp as they lingered on her face. "You seem surprised," he said after a moment, his voice low, almost a question. Jasmine glanced around the room again, feeling a little sheepish. "I guess I am," she admitted. "I just didn't expect all this." She motioned to the stylish, polished apartment. "From you." He raised an eyebrow, his lips curving into a small smile. "What did you expect?" She shrugged, her fingers playing with the edge of her water bottle. "I don't know. I always see you in those jogging suits, running in and out. I guess I thought you'd be more laid back." Kevin chuckled softly. "There's more to me than just running, you know." "I can see that," she said with a teasing smile. But as soon as the words left her mouth, the playful mood between them shifted. The soft jazz music, the dim candlelight, the storm outside, it all created a kind of intimacy she wasn't prepared for. She suddenly became aware of how close they were sitting, the warmth of his body next to hers, and the way his eyes hadn't left her since he sat down. The air between them thickened, charged with something unspoken. Jasmine felt her heartbeat a little faster, her skin tingling in the silence. Before she could say anything to break the tension, the lights flickered back on for a brief second, then went out again, plunging them back into the golden glow of candlelight. They both chuckled at the timing, but the laughter was short-lived, the intensity returning to the room almost immediately. Kevin leaned forward, his elbows resting on his knees, his face thoughtful. "I have to admit," he began quietly, "I didn't expect to be sitting here with you tonight." Jasmine tilted her head, curiosity piqued. "What do you mean?" He glanced at her, his eyes darkening slightly, with something she couldn't quite place. I just didn't think we'd be here in the middle of a storm, sharing a drink in my apartment. She laughed softly, feeling a strange thrill at his words. Life's full of surprises, I guess. Kevin smiled, his gaze locking onto hers, the intensity in his expression making her breath hitch. That it is. Just as she was about to respond, there was a loud crash outside the window. Jasmine flinched, her eyes darting toward the window pane. A large tree branch had snapped off in the wind and slammed against the glass, causing it to rattle loudly. The storm had intensified. Jasmine jumped suddenly, her hand instinctively reaching for Kevin's arm. She quickly pulled it away, her cheeks flushing with embarrassment. "Sorry," she muttered. Kevin smiled softly, his hand hovering near hers, as if he were about to take it, but then thought better of it. "It's okay," he said gently, his voice warm and calming. They sat there for a moment, both staring at the window as the storm howled outside. The wind whipped through the trees and rain continued to pound against the glass. Jasmine could feel the storm echoing the turbulence she felt inside, a strange mix of attraction, curiosity, and uncertainty. "Do you think it'll hold?" Jasmine asked, motioning to the window, her voice a little shaky. Kevin glanced at the window, his gaze thoughtful. "It'll be fine," he reassured her. "It's a strong window." Just as he said that, a loud bang came from somewhere in the building, almost as if something heavy had fallen. The floor beneath them trembled slightly and the walls seemed to vibrate from the force. Jasmine's eyes widened as she looked at Kevin, her heart thudding in her chest. "What was that?" she whispered. Kevin's face tightened as he stood up, his body tensing. "I don't know," he said, his voice low, cautious. He glanced toward the door, as if debating whether to go check it out. Jasmine stood up too, her eyes scanning the room nervously. The storm raged on outside, but whatever that sound was, it had come from inside the building. Kevin took a deep breath, his eyes meeting hers with a steady, reassuring gaze. "Stay here," he said softly. "I'll go check it out." But as soon as he turned toward the door, the lights flickered again, and something else shifted in the air, something neither of them could explain. The second branch crashed harder than the first, slamming into the building and shattering a window in the apartment below. The sound of breaking glass echoed through the storm, making both Jasmine and Kevin jump. Kevin immediately moved to the door, glancing back at her. "I'll go check it out," he said, his voice steady despite the chaos. He returned for a few minutes. He returned a few minutes later, his expression calm but focused. "Luckily, no one's in the apartment," he reassured her, closing the door behind him. Jasmine was standing by the window, her eyes locked on the storm, watching the damage done below as the rain continued to fall in heavy sheets. But that wasn't what caught Kevin's attention. His breath hitched as he took in the sight of her silhouette, framed perfectly by the glow of the dim candlelight and the lightning flashing outside. The way the soft light caressed her face, her features, just oh my God, he thought. She's beautiful. This was the same woman he saw every day, striding through the halls in her sharp power suits, always offering a polite smile, but never much more than that. Now here she was, standing in his apartment, so close, so real, and so breathtaking that he couldn't almost believe it. In that moment, Kevin realized just how much he had misjudged her, and maybe, just maybe, this storm had brought them together for a reason. That thought ran across his mind as he moved closer to her. At first, she did not hear his footsteps or see his hot body approaching. As she turned around, a flash of lightning lit up the sky, and you could hear her say, "Kevin." To be continued.